Let's talk about a radical idea. What if the next computer wasn't built in a factory but grown in a lab? We're diving into the world of biocomputing, a field where living cells and circuits are starting to merge, and it could completely redefine what we even think of as technology. At the core of all this is a concept that is, well, it's pretty mind-bending. I want you to forget about silicon and circuits for just a minute. Instead, imagine computing with the one thing that has truly mastered it over millennia: living biological cells. So this brings us to the big question, right? It really challenges our whole idea of technology. I mean, it's one thing to build a machine that tries to copy the brain, but could we actually harness the raw, incredible power of the neurons themselves? And you know what? The answer is a huge, resounding yes. This is not some far-off theory from a movie. This is happening right now. In labs all over, scientists are building processors that plug living neurons directly into their hardware. This isn't the future, it's the present. Okay, so why? Why go through all this trouble to build computers out of living tissue? Well, it turns out the main reason is a massive and growing problem with our current tech. It has an absolutely insatiable appetite for energy. And this number right here, is everything. It represents the single biggest challenge for modern AI. The human brain, this little 3-pound marvel of biology, is operating with an efficiency our best technology can't even dream of touching. We're talking an advantage of 100,000 times. And this just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you've got our current AI systems. Look, they're incredibly powerful, but training one of these huge models can use as much electricity as a small town. It's wild. But then, on the other side, you have the human brain. It's doing things that are way more complex on just 20 watts of power. That's less than it takes to run a dim light bulb. So yeah, we're not talking about a small improvement here. This is a totally different ballgame. If we want to keep pushing AI forward without, needing a power plant for every data center, we might have to look beyond our current designs and turn to the one that nature perfected millions of years ago. So how in the world does this actually work, right? How do you go from a bunch of living cells floating in a dish to a computer that actually computes? Well, the process is just as fascinating as you'd imagine. The key ingredient, the magic sauce, is something called a brain organoid. You can think of it like a mini brain grown in a petri dish. Scientists take stem cells and kind of nudge them into becoming different kinds of brain cells. And then the amazing part is they self-assemble into this 3D structure that can form real neural connections and spark with electrical activity just like a real brain. Okay, so here's the play-by-play. It all starts with growing one of these brain organoids. Then this living tissue gets placed onto a special microchip that's packed with thousands of tiny little electrodes. Now, these electrodes are a two-way street. They can send information into the organoid using electrical pulses, and then they can read the organoid's incredibly complex response. And that response, that pattern of electrical chatter, that is the computation. Now, as staggering as all this potential is, we have to be honest, we are in the very early days of this revolution. The road ahead is filled with some truly incredible possibilities, but also some really, really significant challenges we have to figure out. And this path is absolutely lined with hurdles. I mean, first, there's the basic biology. How do you build a stable life support system to keep these super delicate cells alive and healthy on a chip for a long, long time? Then you've got the huge question of scale. Getting an organoid to do a simple task is one thing, but scaling that up to tackle really complex problems, that's a massive engineering challenge. We also need brand new ways to even program this biological hardware. I mean, how do you communicate instructions to living tissue? And then, of course, there's the big one. As we start computing with tissue that is fundamentally human, we have to navigate these profound ethical questions about consciousness and what it even means to be, well, to be us. So really, it all comes down to this one question. A question that could define the next 100 years of technology. We've mastered the art of building incredible machines out of silicon, but the next great leap in intelligence, it might not come from manufacturing at all. It might come from cultivation. It's a profound shift in thinking that could, quite literally, change everything.